What a treat for the BackChat basketball show. Greg High is back in the studio, hanging out here in the BackChat studios. Ben Mallis in Melbourne at the moment has made the big move across the country. I thought, Ben, I'm going to give you a week's break just to, the last thing you want to have to worry about is recording a basketball show while you're moving
You're
house.
a fantastic boss.
Yep.
Did he drive or did he fly?
I think he flew business.
Oh,
Yeah.
Big time Ben Mallis.
I think I may be wrong, but I think he may have organised a fly business just for the sake of moving to the other side of the country.
Yeah, okay.
I may be wrong.
I
Ben's
feel like
probably
when you
listening
told
to
me,
this
I was
going, let me just unmute my Mac.
really intrigued. Like, it was so quick. You're like, yeah, he's moving to Melbourne. I was like, what? When?
Yeah, no, it's been in the pipeline for a while. You just don't listen.
Yeah.
You weren't invested in his life at all. BackChat_basketball is where you can find us on Instagram. I love when people message us on that platform, Instagram. You can follow us there. We put up various things. It's not the most active Instagram thing, but I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. I'm committing to make there just a bit more content on there, but it is a good place just to follow us there, and then you know when new episodes
It's a
are
start.
live.
It's a start. And we're obviously in it for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, hopefully even some of the things that we discussed today, which is some context, will be good to put videos.
Yes.
So maybe even if you can share the story videos links.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that. So
drop us a note.
That's Instagram. And if you want to just go old school with us and send us an email, backchatpodcast.com.au is our website address. But I just said email, so hello@backchatpodcast.com.au. The email is now an old way of communicating.
And faxes are 089341 7286 if you'd like to send us a fax, or even a note via the sky, an aeroplane.
Just don't fax us during about 3 p.m. because that's when I'm uploading the episode and the internet isn't working then. I'm going to kick off with something that's a little bit old, but I wanted to ask you about it and you haven't been around. So there was a video that was circulating online that was some young kids playing basketball. I think they were third graders, so they're about eight or nine. And they are, hitting shots and, passing the ball, dribbling. They're doing all the right things. But as well as that, there's some celebrations.
Yes. Over-enthusiastic. Zealous.
One guy was doing the too small. Another kid was doing the flex that someone else pushed in.
3 to the dome.
The dome.
Carmelo Anthony signature celebration.
Yes. I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
and
you would.
I know a lot of people are like, this is the problem with basketball now. Highlight reel sort of life of basketball. I'm sure I know how you feel about it, but why don't you tell me?
No, I'm going to surprise you too. And generally, I don't like sitting on the bench. I mean, I'm sitting on the fence, and I will do.
You did sit on the bench.
Yeah.
No, you were very good at basketball, Greg.
I agree. I don't mind it. What I do, highlight and clips like that can be portrayed in any way. And so there was obviously a storyline that went with it to create clicks and baits and storyline and comments.
Yes.
I did have an issue when the guy, the too small, celebration. He was
huge.
Yeah, he was humongous. He was Shaquille O'Neal. And so for me, the too small is when it's you scoring against me and you're being disrespectful. You're absolutely too small. You've hit puberty already too fast. You're eating 8 kilograms of chicken a night and your diet is might comprise of steroids. It's absolutely too small.
We don't know if that kid was on steroids.
No, but the other stuff, would I, as a coach, if my, the kids that I coach did that, I would definitely be calm the farm down. But in saying that though, it's energy, it's an enthusiasm. There's some I watch my kids score 2 points. They feel like they won lotto, and I feel like I've won lotto too. And so, from the whole context, absolutely, I'm not against it. I would have a greater issue if it's what you see in the high, there's sometimes a viral high school kids. There's a young kid and he's trying to talk it up and they're going one-on-one. And so 14 to 16-year-olds, when these kids are trying to do something, where I'm you actually understand context. Like you are mature enough to know, am I being disrespectful, demeaning, whatever it may be. They're like young kids.
Yeah,
like
let
they're
them
still
have
watching.
some fun.
They're watching Pokemon. And
It's very good.
Yeah, go ahead. Did I surprise you with that?
A little bit, yeah. I just thought you would have been like, "This is ruining our next generation of children."
Mate,
but
come on, mate.
no, I loved it because I was all filler, no killer.
Yeah.
with basketball, like all of that stuff, I just absolutely would get around.
Back of that, then.
Yeah.
So that was one viral clip, and we can ask people, and obviously I'm sure a million people. But then I was doing my normal scrolling through the feed as I'm sitting on the toilet this morning.
Yep.
That's a vivid image that everyone should be
seeing
seeing it.
Picture. Yeah, I got it.
22-year-old assistant coach in America is in a lot of trouble, massive issue, because there was a player on their team playing JV basketball. For anyone you've got junior varsity and varsity, so you're looking at the age group of maybe 12 to 15.
Yep.
A 22-year-old replaced the 13-year-old that was away and intimidated. Yeah. No.
Imitated. Thanks.
Imitated.
Kerrod.
Yeah. Imitated the 13-year-old play, dominated, and there's a clip. You can go online, so we'll have to put it up.
Yeah,
but there's
okay,
a 22-year-old female that plays in this. She gets an and one and literally like goes and one, blocks the absolute shit out of like.
How
shit
much
mixes.
bigger is she?
Oh, massive! Like it stands out like dog's balls. Like it's.
And how do they think they're going to get away?
I don't know, and that was the thing, because like the parent of the child that was missing was like, we talk as coaches like of integrity, but I'm like, there's so many other issues. Like, the 22-year-old that thought I could get away with it, the head coach, but even the parents, they're like, you know what, I'm going to let this happen.
Yeah.
Like,
You'd
so
be running
it
on the
always.
court.
What I was thinking about was like, it goes back to that great Hollywood movie, Joanna Man. Do you remember that?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, so please look it up. But over like an NBA guy, that was the storyline, who maybe suffers injuries, gets kicked out of the league, maybe like gambling, and then pretends he's a woman. Now it's obviously a rom-com because he falls in love with like his teammate, and then he's a female. What happens? But he's like dunking, or in the and like everyone's like, and I was like,
how old is this movie?
Early thousands.
Okay,
look it up for sure. But
anyone notable in this, or is this like a Showtime?
No. It was Joanna Man. Is an American 2002. Vivica Fox, like she's known.
Never heard of her.
Genuine, you would know who Genuine is. Get out of here, mate.
I mean, I'm not like a cinephile like you. Just watches like.
Okay.
Vivica Fox. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
We weren't like you. This wasn't like
Independence Day. Yep.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I never heard of her. The movie, but yeah. Okay. So anyway, would you?
Oh, she was in Kill Bill. That's where I know her from. Anyways.
Yeah. And Miguel Nunez Jr., who's a starring guy. You would know he was in.
This is now a movie podcast.
But Life.
Okay.
There you go.
Sure.
Anyway.
Yep.
Moving on.
I love those films. Let's get into some actual NBA news now that we've spent 10 minutes about talking about absolute rubbish. The rookies and sophomore team has been announced. What are your thoughts? Look, I don't care enough, to be honest. Okay. Look, there's some great players in there. No one, I feel like, it's with the All-Star game, there's obvious snubs, but like in this, I think they get a lot of people involved. I can't imagine there'll be many people.
Well, I'm confused because obviously like the G League and Ignite team is in there. So you've got the rookies, sophomores, and there was like no one that got snubbed, because I felt like of all previous, there was like 15 players.
Yes. So what's happening now, so there's some coaches, Jason Terry, Pau Gasol, Joakim Noah and Darren Williams, just some blasts from the past. So they're going to be 4 coaches, and I think they make 4 teams.
Okay.
With all of these, and they draft them. So the coaches are going to draft these 4 teams on that player pool, and then host a little mini tournament, which I think is cool.
Yeah, play a semi-final game for target score of 40, and the 2 team winners will play their championship game for target score of 25.
Yeah, so they're trying to do so many different things.
All-Star is just getting really bad, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's not the greatest spectacle. And I know they are trying to do things like this year, doing the draft right before the game to make that more interesting. But Josh Giddey is in the team, one of the teams, and he'll probably be, he could be All-Star.
When I was looking at the list, because I was like, okay, and I was like, awesome. So Josh Giddey represent Australia, Mojave King represent New Zealand. So like fantastic NBL alumni. And I was like, it's a perfect, I guess, audition for any, like potential draft selections in that regard. But then I was like, how out of depth, like knowledge on it, because obviously, like, I don't know, I thought the rookies and second year players were doing really well, but when I was going, like Jose Alvarado, yep, Trey Murphy, cool, Scotty Barnes, yep, but then like Quentin Grimes, like I know, and we'll talk about Bones Highland, but like I was like, yep, there's some like big names, sophomores, but I just don't, like, I'm not wowed by the names.
Yeah, look, I mean, it is
AJ Griffin from Atlanta, tell me what he's been doing.
No, I couldn't tell you, honestly. Meant to be. Yeah, we host a basketball show and I know nothing about basketball, to be honest.
He averages 9.7 points. That was more than what I've ever averaged, but still.
Yeah, there you go. So it is also trade. Oh, quickly, so you're not a fan of the. Let's go to the regular All-Star game. You're not really a fan of that.
Yeah, I just think. I love, like, go back to the jersey uniforms, like sometimes it's really weird. Like I like the old one where it was like Jordan hit like the game winner, like the stars, like those old school, or wear your actual team uniforms,
home teams, like home and away,
like that sort of stuff. I understand they went with it, but it's gone. Like, how do you with a game that they don't want to take serious? And so like, I'd rather even just go like, we're going to play as hard as you can for 8 minutes or 10 minutes. Like, it's literally a joke. Yeah, like last year, Steph Curry, I think, shot like 10 threes in a row. And I was just like, it's like, who wants to dunk it? And then we go to the very end. But then, like, the game's already blown out. So, I don't know. I'm not really that much of a fan anymore. Dunk contest has lost its appeal. Yeah. Like, maybe the 3-point contest is the best thing there is now.
Yeah, dunk contest, 3-point skills challenge, always get around that. But, I did say this last week, but I'm going to throw it to you as my suggestion to fix the All-Star game, which I think is brilliant. I think what needs to happen is they just start one-on-one with the team captains. Yep. And like a WWE Royal Rumble system, like every minute they add 2 more players to the court until you have 5-on-5, and then you
did you watch a Royal Rumble this week? Is that why?
No, you know what? It just came to me, and it was like the universe sort of made that happen because the Royal Rumble was on, which Logan Paul was in apparently in the Royal Rumble.
He actually that
double clothesline was amazing.
Was it not?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was very good
because otherwise we'll go down a big duck.
That was very cool. So, and then Ben had the idea of every period of time, you would have people voting to remove a player, like Survivor.
I thought you were gonna, okay. See, I would go similar to what that might be, is do 4 teams and go like international, like a world team. Yep. A vet team.
Bring team.
International and like
world,
normal
multi-country.
Yeah, I don't know. Like even like we'll just go the NBA. Like don't go the draft. Like go because then I think the international people would play for pride. You know what I mean? So like the team's stacked now anyway. Like you would have enough. I believe like there would obviously be a lot of people missing out, but still like then at least I don't know. Like then I know it's the world game, but like. I guarantee you, Doncic and Jokic would be like, no, we're trying to beat
the world team would absolutely dominate, by the way.
Giannis, but then at least it sort of shows that too, like run it for a year. So we're like, we're the best in the world, like just because the Olympics is a different game. So
yeah.
There you go.
Anyways, let's talk about some trade rumors. Yes. Now, I love NBA trade season. It's so much better than AFL trade.
How many weeks until the deadline? Is it straight after the All-Star game, right?
Let me just decline this phone call. Like people just keep calling me. Trade deadline.
We're running a really tight ship.
Thursday, Feb 9. So about a week away. So things start to murmur. There's a bit of simmering around the league. Yep. But it doesn't get really serious until like Feb 7, 8, 9 when it's right on the deadline.
I'm sure it's like straight after the All-Star game because there's those telltales, those like amazing stories like DeMarcus Cousins literally after the All-Star game is in this change room and they're like, how do you feel about going to whatever, and he's like New Orleans, and he's like what? And
It's great. So a couple of ones that I wanted to quickly mention was Dorian Finney-Smith, who's a Dallas Mavericks player.
They need to, right?
I love Dorian Finney-Smith so much. Like he's just.
So you want Tim Hardaway gone?
I want to get rid of Tim Hardaway, but Dorian Finney, like if we get rid of Dorian Finney-Smith, apparently Miles Bridges has been like a person from the Jazz that they've been.
Miles Bridges.
Sorry, Mikal Bridges from Jazz.
Phoenix.
No, is it? Maybe I'm getting my guys wrong. Bridges, Dorian, Finney, Smith. He's one guy that I don't want Mikal Bridges. I don't know. Who knows? Anyways, I don't want him to leave the Mavericks, but I would like Tim Hardaway Jr. to leave the Mavericks. Dorian was like a guy that was just a fringe guy, and now he's like built himself to the rotation. He can defend. He hits threes. He just seems like a great guy. I don't want him to leave. The more interesting sort of one that I saw come up today that someone brought up on Reddit was Bones Highland.
From Denver.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. So because his name had been circulating a bit, someone noticed that he removed He removed all of his information on his Twitter bio and unfollowed the Nuggets on Twitter. If he knew something was going on, but then apparently after an update after this post, it says, update as of 3:07 Eastern time, Bones put it back in his bio. Hi, Bones. Is he staying? So I wonder if he saw that come up on Reddit and was like, oh shit, I better put it back.
Yeah, but then you've already gone too far. So now, I don't know, like where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
Like generally, right? So, and everything in life.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
I feel like this is going to be another case. The Hachimura.
Yes, yep.
Great trade. Got the
great player.
Great block today.
Right at the apex.
Well, yeah, that was what they said like a million times. Right there. I am so confused though, like how they literally got him for a bag of peanuts, like second round draft picks. I know, like why? Yeah, like do teams are just obliged to say, yeah, let's help out the Lakers? Like,
I know. Yeah, it's like when I see that happen, I'm like, well, why didn't the Mavs do anything about that if that's what was on offer?
Like, yeah. So I mean, I love it. I love trade season. I feel like because there hasn't, I feel like it's going to be an absolute debacle. I reckon there's going to be just trades going out of left and right. Like there's a lot of like potential free agents. You know, you're talking Fred VanVleet like nut. So the guy's like nut. We want him. Like there's talk about him going to the Clippers, which I'm like that's sick. Yep. Obviously like Doncic, and they're like, well, we need him. Like he's at his apex right now of like.
He just scored 50.
Correct. Like we have to put around talent. Like, and then there's like a lot of other teams that like, have come down the pecking order. So I can't wait. Like I love it. I love just.
Yeah, the drama's great. I love waking up at like 7 a.m. and
the watch bomb.
quickly checking Twitter and just like seeing what happened overnight. Like 9 moves happened.
Matisse Thybulle was going to get moved, I reckon, hey?
Right. Yeah. Where to?
Sacramento.
Okay. Two Aussies then. Playing next to Delhi at SAC. All right, so LeBron James won't be getting traded, but is very close to becoming the all-time leading scorer in the NBA.
Yep.
Now, he's currently he's 89 points behind Kareem. So based on his average of 30.2 points per game, he should get there in about 3 games.
What's his next 3 games? Because he's not doing it away.
So, at Pacers, at Pelicans, and then v Thunder.
Yeah, it'll be v Thunder.
And then v Bucks the following game. So he's got 2 home games.
Yeah. So even if he's dropping 50 in the next game, he is sitting
dropping
out
35.
I reckon he's resting. He's general soreness. Like he's not doing it where they're not stopping the game and he can cry on the court. Like,
true.
Like, so OKC, like that's paying $1.
Yeah, probably.
Crazy. He got his first triple-double of the season. It was today against the Knicks.
Yeah, that's right. That was a crazy stat. And also the first time he's played at Madison Square Garden since 2020, apparently.
Really?
Yeah, so it's been 3 years since he's played there, which I guess Lakers and Knicks don't play. They don't probably do the 2-2 in each person's home court. So there you go. So LeBron James, quickly, I don't want to get into too much of this, but LeBron James or Michael Jordan, greatest of all time, which one do you sit on? Jordan, okay.
Yeah. The eras have changed, like statistics are like, don't get me wrong, I think what he's done, and I think barring, like if he was on that, the 3-1 train where he literally won that championship against a stacked team, absolutely, and his team, and he's the year before when he had like Delhi and everyone's hurt, like I look at that, but then I can't go away from the fact of him going to Miami, and then going to like Lakers and barring what's happened the last couple of years, like, yep, they won the championship in the COVID year, but I just look at it and go, in terms of what they, like not taking away the championship, but I do think there's an asterisk to that.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse championship.
Yeah, sort of way. And then, you missed the playoffs, and, you orchestrated a trade for Russell Westbrook and couldn't make it work. Now, if they get it done, and they'll play the playoffs, they're playing. Yeah, I think they're abouts. The West is so, that playing game, crazy. And they're playing well, and they've lost, a lot of close games, and they've beaten, a lot of good teams. It's not like...
Yeah.
Whereas, if they were losing games, you look at their last, I was looking at, they're 5-5 in the last 10, absolutely. But, in terms of their record and...
They got one stolen from them.
Yeah. But, they're,
So where are they now? Let's see on the West. So they're currently not in the play-in, but they're
2 games out.
Games out.
Yeah. And again, I think, with the recent trade, and I think they'll... get rid of someone, I think, they'll go. And I thought when Davis went down, I was like, they're done. They're cooked and but barring all those teams as well, you go, Utah Jazz, all right, they're going to start losing games because OKC, they had a good run. And then, there's 2 teams there already. I don't know. I think they'll sneak into playing, whether they do, and they'll get eliminated straight away. But again, LeBron has been playing well. Davis was on a tear, and
Westbrook was actually good today.
Yeah, I don't think he's a 6th man of the year, but
no.
I don't know what that media hype is about.
All right, well, that's a good segue into awards because the NBL awards finalists have been announced in the last few days. Now, you're a part of the voting panel, I guess.
Yeah, the absolute honour.
These top 3 finalists. So before we get too much into that, let's... where's my tab? I've got too many tabs open. So Coach of the Year, let's just go through the 3 finalists.
Yep.
We'll go through the finalists for each award. So Chase Buford, Adam Ford, and Modi Muir, sorry.
Yeah, from New Zealand, Cairns, and Sydney.
That's right.
Yep.
Who do you think wins that?
I think that's the toughest one to go with it. I wouldn't. I actually think Chase Buford should get it.
Okay.
Which is an interesting thing, but I think I don't know what their record was last year, but
they won
top of
the
the table.
championship.
No, but regular season record.
Right.
So, awards are about storylines, and so Modi Muir's one's obviously the most is the best one because you go New Zealand away from home, and now they're there and they're gonna more than likely finish 2nd, I would think. And so what an incredible story. But then I go, their roster's stacked. So let's not ignore the fact that their team's legit. They've got 3 bona fide superstars and imports, and Will McDowell-White is a legit player. And then you've got solid vets in Rob Lowe and Abercrombie. So you don't, that roster, he's done well, but in circumstances and they're playing at home. But I don't want to take away the fantastic achievement, but take away the sensationalism or the romanticism of not playing last year in New Zealand. Cairns, that's where I do look at it and go, well, from a team perspective, no one really thought Cairns would be...
that's mid-tier.
Right. No one. I don't think if anyone was they're going to make finals, they would have been play-in potential 5 and 6. They are to the point of top 2, and they lost their MVP contender for 7 games, I think it was, and they're still at a potential to get that. So Sam Wardenberg, rookie, who's the starting 4-man. Their imports, even Shannon Scott, people had doubts. Taj McCall was good, but no one was you know what I mean? So, 40, I look at that and go, absolutely. But then that's why I go Chase Buford. They'll, depending on what happens this week, but record's pretty good. They might win it by 2 or 3 games. They lost Jalen Adams, who's the MVP, Jarrell Martin, who I think, bless you, super underrated, and Ian Clark, the NBA vet, who came at the end. So I look at that and go, well, targets on your back, and you did well.
Yeah.
That's a flip of your coin, both 40 and Buford. And any of them, of all years, you'd go, there was years where Trev wouldn't get them. They clearly just don't think Trev's
Wildcats are good. Why would the coach?
Right. But I look at it in Sydney, their roster's stacked, don't get me wrong, but they're stacked because they played no one, Glover was legit, but Sean Bruce, Galloway, They lost Wani, who was their starter. Vandanovic was a great role. Like all these guys that they've brought in, they weren't like studs in previous. Like Glover's always had like really good potential and had injury, and Galloway's legit. But Geordie Hunt, like these guys, like now you're like, oh yeah, they're superstars, but they weren't superstars.
Yeah.
They've played into it. So
All
I
right,
think
I'm going with Adam Ford because I think,
I don't want you to go off me.
And potentially,
But do you agree with my sentiment?
I mean,
to a point.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I still think Adam Ford is probably more deserving.
Okay.
And potentially is playing for that. I don't think when do they vote or when do they finalise
Voting's
that?
done. This is the issue. I think that.
Oh, so they've already decided on a coach of the year
and everything. All awards have already been decided.
Right. Okay. I was going to say Adam Ford or the Taipans are playing.
And I think that's where the issue. The vote
because the top three is already announced, but you're saying they've already picked the winner.
The winner would have already been chosen.
Right.
So that's been the contentious one for debate currently, because the MVP's been like everything's been voted on already from captains. So, and we can talk about the process soon, but captains and coaches have voted, but last week's games don't count to the end. And
it just doesn't make any sense.
Like, no, it really doesn't.
How much lead up do you need to like write it on a trophy?
Yeah, I'm unsure.
Because what happens, like, and this is just one, it's a hypothetical, so whatever, but if there's two guys that are like neck and neck and one guy in the last game of the season like pulls his team through and wins it and the other guy doesn't, then like that's...
Well, I mean, and you're completely right, because I like look at it, so say like, yeah, you're right, Sydney, like if Cairns and New Zealand lose games this week and Sydney win out,
yeah,
Sydney will have a 4-game head to head, like on that's a huge gap, like, and so
coach of the year, yeah.
But then you're completely right. Like say Sydney lose both, like whether they want to rest, 40 gets through, they get through, and you're like, that's one game, like that's massive, and no doubt it's like last week, and that was the argument because Bryce's game against Illawarra going for 40, and then Tassie backing up, like didn't count, and everyone was up in arms. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, you could be up in arms, but then Xavier Cooks drops a triple-double in a win against another MVP candidate, and that doesn't go up, you know. And you're right, because Wildcats could, off this, like let's say like last week, and say they sneak into a 4 and Bryce goes back-to-back 50-point games and gets them into a 4th spot and guarantees a playoff spot, you'd be like, geez, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Or if like a Mitch Creek or at that time, who I think, if they get bundled out of the playoffs and he doesn't, you go, well, he's not really an MVP candidate. So
yeah. It's the same with the Norm Smith voting in the AFL. Like it's like halfway through the fourth quarter or something. It's like it doesn't like. Why do they need the 40-minute head start?
I know. Like even the Norm Smith's weird. I text you like a message or just even write down about what's your vote. Like
so when I was at the Wildcats and like you would get told. They give you a heads up if a player is going to be a finalist before they announce or whatever.
yeah.
And they give you like a bit of lead time so that you can get your graphics done
of course.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It takes half a day to build some graphics and
mate, don't even
make a
more
highlights
than that.
video.
But if you knew that, you wouldn't like how hard to prep it. Like
well,
for the winners announcement, you've got 3 finalists.
Why can't they do it the week of the awards and go, okay,
very good,
media team, make
very good thing to ask.
I don't. Anyways, let's just we won't go on too much about each of these awards just so we can get through. So most improved player, Sean McDonald, Keanu Pinder, and William McDowell White.
I think Keanu Pinder will win that.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Best 6-man presented by Marsh.
Oh, I think that'll be an easy one.
Yep.
Presented by Marsh. What's Marsh?
It's, according to the NBL website, if they can get a bit of extra coin on an award, then go for it.
Sean Marsh, well done.
Barry Brown Jr., Rashad Kelly, Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, I think Barry Brown, like he's at one time potential MVP, and he's a first or second team. Tyler Johnson will be there, but not by the team's performance.
Okay, your mate Damian Martin, trophy for the best defensive player. Antonius Cleveland, Shea Illy, Derek Pardon.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. I reckon they'll go Cleveland.
Okay, Antonius Cleveland for the 36ers. There
Yes.
we go. All right. Next Generation Award, presented by Champion. Sam Froling from the Hawks, Travers from the Perth Wildcats, and Sam Wardenberg from the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, Wardenberg's stiff for this to have changed, but I think Froling will get it. I mean, he's a legit star. Like, he's averaging, I think, 16 and 8, like in a team, barring, obviously, the record, but still think like his numbers speak for himself.
Okay, there we go. So let's talk about a little bit about the process then of how that all happens. So yeah, like I mentioned before, you are on the panel of people who decide who is in the top 3. So a lot of people think that the panelists just decide on their best, like maybe get around a table, go, yep, these are the best 3, and then that gets put forward. And then, I don't know, who picks the finalists. So who picks the finalist?
Yeah, so the panel, and from what I assume and looking at it, panelists are all across Australia. So there's not like a Victorian-centric, like you've got Joe Healy, Andrew Gaze, myself, John Casey. You know, there was
Olden.
people. So there's everyone like around, like in different parts. Now, we basically, and it was people that obviously watch the game. So, you know, they're people that are active on social media or watching games and have some knowledge and understanding. So with that, you literally had a list of players and there was criteria per category in terms of the defensive player or sixth man of the year. The only thing that was obviously significant was like the sixth man of the year was like the player had to have played 50% of games by the time like that was decided, or even at the end of the season. By the time it was decided. And so I actually had a little bit of I had to bring that up because even the definition of sixth man of the year, like I can say in a couple of cases, so sixth man of the year, I had Daniel Johnson. Now, no one would have considered him because he's like been a starter, but then like in the back end of the season, he's now sixth man of the year. Now, is his impact like people? But I'm like, his numbers are crazy. Like from a sixth man of the year, sort of like it is equivalent of Barry Brown, but we don't see him as a sixth man, and he wasn't in that quota. Same deal. Malcolm Lee was another guy, Melbourne import. Like same deal. I was like the amount of gains, but then like he was on that cusp. So went back and forward. Obviously the massive controversy is around Shea Ely and only playing 14 games. So we were asked to nominate every category. You had to nominate 5 players, bar the next generation player. Right. So you would nominate who you thought out of that. The MVP, you would nominate 15 players. Yeah. Now, once that was everyone was sent through and you like deliberated.
Did you like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 them or just?
Well, and this is the thing. Like I was like, oh, here's the players. Like, and I like naturally was like, well, obviously sixth man of the year. I'd think this is the guy. I'd think Barry Brown is going to win it. So naturally in my head, perfect. And like say most improved, I'm like, oh geez, like there's 3 guys that you're like no brainer, but then. Are you thinking Tanner Krebs, Jack McVeigh, like, you know, like all these guys whose numbers have gone up? How do you like do that? They're not as clear. Now, I don't know whether like, again, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 doesn't matter because it wasn't like if you were 1, it wasn't like you were going to be an automatic finalist. Yep. And understanding like if 3 or 4 are going to be standouts. So a nominee list was then made, and like I can't dispel how many people were done. But like in terms of like the issue where Shea Ely and Justin Simon, like I can guarantee you was on the nominee list. Like that's what I can say. So he was definitely acknowledged by the panel. Well, the one thing, and this is, and I'll accept total responsibility of this, because when I asked about the 6-man question, they answered straight away like, nah, this in the past has changed, whatever. From when I used to play, my understanding was, and this is obviously back in my era, so shows this, but teams would nominate players and then they would be chosen by the coaches or the captains, right? Right. Now, teams had the issue because they would only have 1 player per team. And so you could have multiple potential candidates. So like, you know, we would have Damo and someone, I remember one year, can't remember who it was, but we're like, Damo's barely played games. Like he's played 14 or 15 games. Right. But we might have a better chance of, I don't know who it is, right? So I'm just going to use JP Tokoto. Yeah. Right.
Big defensive beast.
Yeah. But we'll put him because he's played more games. Or we'll put Damo because we know he's going to, like it's Damian Martin, like they're going to still not vote against him. So for my understanding, like what I had thought, and I was just like, you can't nominate 2 people for an award. So I can say this. I didn't nominate Justin Simon because I think Xavier Cooks is the better defensive player. I actually think he is the best defensive player in the league. Like, if he won it, I'd be like, that's who I had. So he's not a finalist. And so now, like, when we looked at it and there was like multiple, I was like, oh, geez, I should have actually just emailed and said, oh, hey, can we have multiple?
From the same team.
Because I would have actually had it the same way as New Zealand. Like, I would have had Brantley and Pardon. And Cooks and Simons, because I actually think like that. And I'll go and go, I have no issue in saying if we put two, absolutely Justin Simons in there because he's a beast. But I think Xavier Cooks is actually a better defensive player than everyone because he can guard 5-1 and has shown that. Like, he blocks Bryce Connor's shots, but then he intimidates.
Hold his own against the five.
Tayshaun Thomas and so like he's like he's your anchor. So I think the issue, what everyone's like when I woke up in the morning, and obviously Eastern Standard Time, so I'm like getting up and I'm like copying like abuse and like going like, show me your like vote,
show me your vote.
And I'm like, what is going on? Like, what is the issue? And I'm like, mate, if you have any grievances, it's the coaches and captains now.
Yeah, so we didn't get to that part. So you list 5 players. Each person on the panel gives 5 player names, and then that goes into a big pool of people, and then now the coaches and
then that list of players, like whatever finalists is and done down, then is then given to the captains and coaches, and then they decide on they vote, and then whoever tallies up, then that 3 finalists. So of however many people were nominated for the defensive player, like in terms of that initial list that was given to coaches, captains, they've then trimmed it down to 3, and they've decided Shaili is good. And now I would say, like, absolutely. And this is where the voting thing comes from a game perspective, because even when I thought about, okay, do you put Shaili there? At that time when you're nominating, there's still 5 or 6 games left. No one expected him to have a concussion and then potentially miss another 5 games. Yeah. So, like, off that, you're like, of the 14 games that he's now played and he's missed quite a bit. So he's played, I don't know, whatever. So if they still had 3 games left or 4 games left, they're like, their record is like 9-2 with Shaili, and it's purely because of defense.
Yeah.
Like, and so, hence why, like the coach and the captains, like, I think they appreciate that. Their basketball, their knowledge is perfect, right?
Exactly.
Like,
that's their job. One that I didn't bring up with you was the MVP. So obviously Bryce, Mitch Creek, and Xavier Cooks. So they're all 3 deserving winners. But who do you think? Just because as we start to run out of time,
I think Cooks will get it. Yeah. Like, and I think there'll be that debate. But I think I think Bryce. But I think I go back off it and I go, Sydney are like, what they did against Mitch Creek. That's what I counted on. Like, from what it is, he beats a contender who's trying to fight for their life. Like, Sydney didn't really have to win that game, to be completely honest, and they do. And his numbers are down, but they win games by huge margins. So I think the best team, they're potentially going to be 3 or 4 games ahead. Yep. As much as, absolutely, like, Bryce is the most valuable player. I'm not denying that. Like, take him away. They're sitting with Illawarra and Brisbane.
Between value and
best. But I think from that, and you could do the same for Xavier and does that, but I go, like, that's a pretty dominant season by a team, and it's led by him. And so you have to reward that.
Yeah, so if you were saying, anyway, so that argument goes on and on, because it's like, well, who's like a better player? Is Bryce Cotton a better player than Xavier Cooks?
Yes. Absolutely.
Is he the most valuable player?
Yeah.
Well,
because but I think you have to judge it on that season and not by emotion and stories and, and ifs and what buts. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We've got about 3 minutes. Kerrod's got to get out of here. I want to make sure that he's sorted. You got to get out of here too.
Yep.
I'm going to give you one question from a fan that I couldn't ask Ben because he can't answer it. So I'm going to throw it to you. Is there prize money for winning the NBL championship?
There is not from the National Basketball League, but you would tie it into your contract.
So, in your instance, the Wildcats give you a little
but they would
$50 Maya gift card.
A lot more than that. It'd be tied into my annual salary, a percentage.
Yeah, great.
So that was the best thing ever. So our contracts, I used to always tie in contract to make the finals and to win a championship. well, I made finals every year. So I was like, yeah, I can guarantee this
Why
bonus.
you driving a Lambo?
Yeah,
great.
That's a lie.
And one more quick one. Can a player be a player/assistant coach? And if so, can their salary be split so the majority of it is for coaching, thus freeing up player salary cap space? It could be a good loophole to stay on.
I honestly think it could be. I don't know. Like, and I'm sure. Look, from my understanding, I wouldn't have a clue, and yeah, it'd be weird. But actually, I think that this is the issue. So you could be paid to be a coach, but when you get on the court, that counts against the salary.
Right.
So it doesn't go. Your annual salary isn't based on. So Bryce Connon gets paid $5 million a year, right?
Yep.
If Bryce Connon and that's whatever
which he doesn't. That's just.
No, but anyway, okay. So Bryce gets paid X amount of dollars, right? They don't count it of like, here's your annual salary. It's what is per game payment. That's like the salary that is worked out to, right? So perfect example, in own time, when we were playing back in the day, I remember one time the club was actually upset because they ruled out Casey Prather like at warm up, and then they had to pay. And we were like bordering the line of luxury tax. Right. So they're like, why would you not just withdraw Casey out, because now we're paying $20,000 and he didn't play. You know what I mean? And so when the coach would go on, then that's what they'd go with it. So I think that would be the loophole, because that would be the issue. Like,
it's not a player, he's a coach, but he happens to play a bit.
I feel like if that was the case. But
that's a good question. That's from Nick Dan. It's a good question. Keep sending them through. They're always great. Hello at backchatpodcast.com.au if you want to email through some questions, or as people have been doing, send them through on Instagram, _basketball. We're going to get more active on there, I promise. I keep making promises.
Yeah,
and
put up these videos.
Yeah, put up the videos. There's a few good ones there. I should just give you the account as well, so that you can start posting stuff.
I'll put up nudes.
No. Next week...
I didn't say nudes of myself, of you.
Oh, right, okay. Next week, we're trying for a Wildcats player. I've been hitting him up. You've been hitting him up. I don't know if you did. But
no, Mitch Norton said he has a promo from 2 to 3. I was like, you're a liar, mate.
Promo. Perfectly timed. It's 1 hour promo, 2 o'clock on a Wednesday, as if. Well, we will try to get him. Ben will bring him in. He'll dial in from Melbourne. I think we're all going to do this sort of remote, but we'll be back next week. Maybe with Mitch, maybe with Ben.
Oh, we'll do it with
maybe with me.
Yeah, Danny Mills?
Danny Mills.
Oh, you've already done him, haven't you?
No, I haven't spoken to Danny Mills.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. All right.
Put him on the blowtorch.
Yeah, next week.
Yeah.
All right.